Hi, my name is Yin Gao, and welcome to Dr. Gao's classroom. I'm a professional philosopher, and I love classical Chinese poetry. Of course, I also have a passion for Chinese philosophies. I have been teaching and translating classical Chinese philosophies for many years, and poetry for the last few years. I love to share my knowledge on these subjects with you. Your enjoyment is my command. This is my first video for 2023. I'm very happy to start the new year with a video about the summer and music. And to celebrate the summer season, I'm wearing red, the color of fire and summer. According to 吕氏春秋, the chronicle of 吕不韦, the days of summer belong to the phase of fire, and the dominant dynamics is fire. Although it is winter in the northern sphere, it is summer in the southern sphere. So I would recommend friends from the northern sphere to continue wearing black until lunar January. Then you can change to green or greenish blue, which is the color of spring. While us in the southern sphere to wearing red during the summer and change to white during autumn. As I mentioned in my last video of 2022, that it is the text of 吕氏春秋, or the chronicle of 吕不韦, that make the explicit connection between cosmic rhythm and music. This text lists the musical key associated with the first month of the spring, the ritual ceremonies the Son of Heaven ought to perform, and the significance of performing such ceremonies. So it is clear that the musical performance in these ceremonies has cosmic significance. Another point I would like to make is that according to 吕氏春秋, summer is also the time for making and performing music. It is in its discussions of the 5th and the 6th calendar month that the cosmic significance of music is articulated and presented. These two sections also laid out the code of conduct for not just the Son of Heaven, but also for all noblemen, especially regarding the music they use in ceremonies, and most importantly, in governing the common people, in terms of transforming their culture and costumes, as well as the use of music in their everyday entertainment. I dare to say a systematic musicology is articulated in these two sections. This is quite interesting that it is in the 吕氏春秋 where the detailed musical theory is articulated and developed. You probably know how significant 礼乐 or the ritual and musical performance is to Confucian tradition. 礼乐 or the ritual and musical performance are the equivalents of law and order of modern society in ancient China. It is 礼乐 that created the social structure for a Confucian society. The whole social hierarchical structure is created and maintained by the continuous practice of ritual and musical performance. I have presented a brief account of how this works in my video on Confucius' political vision. Here is the link. You can get some basic ideas from this video. I'm certainly going to make more videos on this topic in the future. So I won't have time to discuss the musical theory today because I would like to talk about what are the code of conducts for the Son of Heaven for May, where this musical theory is presented. I would talk about the musical theory in my next video on Chinese philosophies. Now, before I talk about the text, I would like to continue my story about the first emperor Yin Zheng and his first father, Lü Buwei. I have told the story how Lü Buwei helped the father of the first emperor to become the king of Qin state. Today, I'm going to tell you how Lü Buwei helped the first emperor Yin Zheng win his power as the king and consolidated his power as the king. Their life stories are so fascinating that you can call them the Chinese version of Hamlet and Macbeth. There were certainly conspiracies, framing and betrayals, love mixed with hatred, and of course, lots of power struggles. Then I would cite a few passages to explain the code of conduct for the Son of Heaven and for the nobleman in the month of May. I'm also going to translate one of the passages character by character and analyze it. If you're new to my channel, please check out my other videos on classical Chinese poetry, philosophies, or medical literature. If you like the content of these videos, please click the like button and subscribe my channel. I also offer one-to-one online lessons on these subjects. If you would like to read the original text with me, please contact me. Here's my email address. Now, let's go back 2,000 years, around 251 BC. This is the time Yin Zheng's father became the king of Qin. He appointed Lü Buwei as his premier, Yin Zheng's mother Zhao Ji as his queen, and Yin Zheng as his crown prince. 3 years later, Yi Ren passed away. Yin Zheng should assume the crown to become the king of Qin state. However, he had a serious rival in his half-brother Chen Jiao. When Yin Zheng and his mother was trapped in the state of Zhao between 257 and 251 BC, his father got another woman from the state of Han and had a son named Chen Jiao by this woman. So when Yi Ren died, with the support from the state of Han, Chen Jiao was a serious rival to Yin Zheng for the crown. In 239 BC, they framed Chen Jiao in their war against the state of Zhao. So Chen Jiao had no choice but to rebel against Qin and surrendered to Zhao. However, he was soon murdered after the Qin army took over the state of Zhao. So, in the early days of Yin Zheng's reign, Lü Buwei and Zhao Ji collaborated closely to consolidate their power while Yin Zheng was too young to run the state. Furthermore, Lü Buwei and Zhao Ji had an intimate relationship. So, after Yi Ren died, they just resumed their affair. However, as the years went on and Yin Zheng growing up, Lü Buwei became more and more worried about his affair with Yin Zheng's mother. So Lü Buwei found a man named Lao Ai. He organized a fake castration procedure for Lao Ai and sent him to Zhao Ji as a eunuch. Zhao Ji and Lao Ai maintained their affair in secrecy for many years. They even had 2 sons together. I guess this must be true love. Zhao Ji granted Lao Ai political power, title, and land. Lao Ai even boasted to his followers that he was the king's stepfather. You might be able to imagine how angry and ashamed Yin Zheng must have felt when he found out about their affair. His mother not only was having an affair with a lowly eunuch, worse still, how dare this lowly eunuch to claim to be his stepfather? So, in 238, Yin Zheng finally took over the right to govern the Qin state from Lü Buwei and his mother. The very first thing he did was to get rid of his half-brother Chen Jiao, as I mentioned earlier, with the help from Lü Buwei and his mother. A year later, Ying Zheng had people leak the news that he knew about the affair his mother had with Lao Ai. So the latter had no choice but to plot a coup. Ying Zheng ordered Lü Buwei to lead an army to fight Lao Ai and captured Lao Ai. Lao Ai, along with his relatives and followers, were brutally executed. Ying Zheng also ordered to house arrest his mother and the killing of his two half-brothers by Lao Ai. Once all this was done, Ying Zheng sacked Lü Buwei from his position of premier and sent him to exile to Luoyang, where his fiefdom was in 237 BC. However, a year later, Ying Zheng sent Lü Buwei a reprimand letter asking him what had he done for the state of Qin to deserve the title and land. Once Lü Buwei got the letter, he committed suicide by drinking poison because, from what happened to Lao Ai, he knew if he stayed alive waiting for Ying Zheng to make a move, there would be much worse punishment for him, his family, and relatives. This is how Ying Zheng consolidated his power. He did not follow the more lenient approach to governance prescribed in the 李氏春秋. Instead, he adopted an approach that was an extreme version of the legalist policy articulated by one of the best-known statesmen of the Warring State period, Sangyang. Sangyang summarized all his thoughts and policy in his book, Shangjun Shu, or the Book of Lao the Sun. I would certainly make a video on Sangyang and his book in the future. This is the real history of the two great men who eventually led to the unification of the Chinese world. As you can see, sometimes history is truly more dramatic than any story a playwright could imagine. It has been adapted into plays, movies, opera shows in China, Taiwan, Hong Kong many times. Have you seen any of the movies about the first emperor and Lü Buwei? If you have, please let me know which movie you watched. What do you think of the first emperor and his foster father, Lü Buwei? Do you think the first emperor was a psychopath? How about Lü Buwei? Was he a good businessman? A good politician? What about Zhao Ji? What sort of woman do you think she was? Do you think her actions justifiable given that she was facing the impossible position to either play the politics or be murdered? I would love to hear your views on these stories. Now, let's go back to 李氏春秋. I have talked about the policies suitable for the first months of spring, which mostly focusing on the beneficent policy that are aligned with the generous and beneficent spring energy. So, what about the rules and policies for May? In the second month of the summer, the sun is located in the constellation of Gemini. At dusk, the Libra rises to the middle of the sky. At dawn, Pegasus rises to the middle of the sky. Its days belong to the fire phase. They are governed by the Vermillion Emperor, assisted by the spirit of fire, 祝融. The dominant creature of the month is the feathered creatures. The feathered creatures supposedly rise from the yang energy. Its tone is ji, its pitch is 瑞宾. The Son of Heaven takes residence at the bright hall at his ancestor temple. He rides in a chariot decorated with phoenix bells, driven by vermilion horses with black tails, and carries vermilion banners. He wears vermilion garments and vermilion jet ornaments, takes meals made of bean and fowl. He uses tall and large vessels. In this manner, the Son of Heaven commands the musical masters to put all the drums in order, calibrate strings and wind instruments, arrange all the props for marches and dances, tone the various panpipes, and repair the metal and stone bells, as well as the different types of sound boxes. He orders the ministers to make sacrifices to the mountains, rivers, and hundreds of plains for his people, performs the grand musical ceremony to the highest God who governs the weather. He also ordered the magistrates and officials of all counties to perform sacrificial rituals to the spirits of all passed away aristocrats and high-rank officials who had benefited the people for a good harvest. There are several points about these prescribed conducts and policies I would like to make. One is the color of the months. Lunar May is the second month of summer, and it is the time when young energy reaches its peak. So the governing god is Yan Di, or the Vermilion Emperor. Yan literally means the burning fire, as you can see in the character. It is made of two of the character for fire. So the color of the month is that of the burning fire. The Vermilion Emperor was a legendary ruler of the region along the lower part of the Yellow River. He supposedly taught people how to grow crops and tasted many plants for medicinal purpose. It is quite funny that he is often depicted as a figure with horns on his head and dressed sparsely with luau hula skirts looking like this. He was allegedly active around 2000 BC, more than 4,000 years ago. He might be one of the tribal chieftains from the south. Over the centuries, he was transformed into a semi-god who invented agriculture and medicine. His other name is Shen Nong, or the divine farmer. Because he was the god governing the souls, so his signature color is vermilion or red. To be aligned with this god, the Son of Heaven ought to use the vermilion color in all things. The second point I would like to make is the dominant creatures of the month. That is, the feathered creatures or fowl. The Chinese classification system is organized according to the five-phase scheme. That is, the categories of water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. So all animals are also classified into the five categories and assigned properties according to the properties of the five phases. As you might know from my last video, the creatures with a scale supposedly arises from the yin energy and are classified into water category. So they are usually regarded as cool or cold in nature. That is why when Chinese chefs cook fish or other seafood, they often add ginger to balance the coldness in the seafood so that the food would not be too cold and damage the body. In contrast, birds or feathered creatures supposedly arise from the yang energy and are classified into the fire category. So the meat from birds are usually regarded as warm or hot. That is why when a Chinese person gets a cold, his or her mom would cook chicken soup to activate the yang energy in his or her body to speed up the recovery. The third point I would like to make is the spirit of fire, 祝融. The record about him is rather complicated and sometimes self-contradictory in different documents. The earliest record of 祝融 is in 国语正语, or the history of the state of Zheng from the spring and autumn period between the 8th to the 5th century BC. It was reported that Zhurong was the official in charge of preserving fire for King Wu of the Zhou dynasty. Later documents such as Guanzi or Master Guan state that Zhurong was a minister in charge of fire for the Yellow Emperor. By the time of the early Han Dynasty in the 3rd century BC, Zhurong was elevated to the status of a god in charge of fire. He is also the dominant god during the summer and governing all affairs of the south. So, I think Zhurong was probably an official from the Zhou dynasty. The last point I would like to make is about making music. My guess is that the early summer is the rare time that is relatively free and relaxed in an agrarian society. People had finished planting the crops, and there was not much to do. Making music and playing with a musical instrument are certainly a good use of the leisure time. The text continue to warn a nobleman or 君子 what not to do during this time and gives reasons why this is the time his body is particularly vulnerable. This time is when yang energy reaches its peak and start to decline, while the yin energy start to rise. This passage is quite important because it addresses to the individuals of the elite class, that is, 君子 or the nobleman. I have talked about 君子 in my video on Confucius' political vision, where I gave a detailed account about 君子. So, if you would like to check out the content, here is the link. Now, let me read it in Chinese first, then I would translate it character by character. 是月也，日长至，阴阳争，始生分。君子斋戒，处必严。身欲静，止声色。无惑尽，薄之谓。无志和，退世欲。定心气，百官静。事无尽，以定艳阳之所成。鹿角解，蝉始鸣。半夏生，木槿荣。Now, let's look at the first two lines. 是月也，日长至，阴阳争，始生分。是 means this. 月 means month. 也 is the mark for a stop. 日 means day. 长 means long. 至 means arrive. Yin and yang, I did not translate them, so you just read it as yin and yang. 争 means content. 始 means that. 生 means living. 分 means separate. 阴阳争 means the yin and yang energies are contending for dominance. This is the time when the yang energy reaches its peak while the yin energy is at its lowest point. but the yin energy is rising. This is why it is claimed that this is a time of 死生分, when the realm of the dead and the living is separated. Because plants or insects nurtured by the yang energy start to die, while the fauna and flora nurtured by the yin energy start to thrive. So it is claimed that the realms of the dead and the living are separated. So these two lines can be translated as, in this month, the longest day arrives. The yin and yang energies contend. The realms of dead and living are separated. 君子斋戒处必言. 君子 refers to the nobleman. 斋 means fast. 戒 means on alert. 处 means take residence. 必 means must. 言 means covered. So 君子 here literally means the sons of a lord. During the warring state period, this term often refers to a male member of the aristocrat class, such as the sons of a king, duke, or marquis. Confucius introduced an ethical dimension to the term, so it can also be translated as exemplary person. Here it is clear it refers to a nobleman. 身欲静止声色. 身 literally means the body. Classical Chinese philosophy do not have the dichotomy of mind and body. So the character of Shen not only refers to one's body, but also the person in question. Here it refers to the person himself. 欲 means desire. 静 means calm. 止 means stop. 声 literally means sound, while 色 means color. However, when 声 and 色 are used together as one phrase, it refers to the flesh pleasure such as music, food, beauty, etc. Here it refers to the entertainment by music and beauties, that is, the flesh pleasure. So the two lines can be translated as, a nobleman fasts, is on alert, and takes residence in a well-covered place. He ought to keep his person calm and refrain from temptation of flesh pleasure. 无惑尽薄之谓，无志和退世欲，定心气百官静。无 means do not. 惑 is a version of 惑, meaning to be seduced or tempted. 进 is an abbreviation of 进贡, meaning tribute to a ruler or a member of the aristocratic class. Here it refers to the tributes of beauty to a nobleman. 薄 means reduce. 滋味 means flavor. 无 again means do not. 字 here is exchangeable with another character, 字, meaning perfect. 和 means blend or harmony. It is a very important concept in Chinese philosophies. It refers to the action of blending different things. It also means to harmonize different sounds and the harmonious states achieved by such blending action. 退 means refrain from. 嗜欲 means avaricious desire. 定 means settle. 心 means heart. Qi is the energy, but here I would just maintain it as qi. 百 means 100. 观 means the different faculties in the body. 静 means calm. So the three lines can be translated as, do not be tempted by tributes of beauty. Reduce excessive flavors in food and drink. Do not chase the perfect blend of all pleasures. Refrain oneself from avaricious desires. The nobleman ought to settle down his heart qi and calm the hungry faculties of his body. 事无尽，以定阴阳之所成。鹿角解，蝉始鸣。半夏生，木槿荣。事 means affairs. 无 means don't. 静 means hurry. 以 means in order to. 定 means settle. 晏音 is a different writing of 阳音. It is just the yin and yang. 之 means of. 所成 means to complete with. 鹿 refers to deer. 角 refers to horn. 解 means shed. 蝉 refers to cicada. 始 means start. 鸣 means sing. 半夏 refers to crowdipper. It is a medicinal plant that grows in most part of China. Its root tube can be used in herbal medicine to treat excessive phlegm in the respiratory system. 生 means grow. 木槿 refers to hibiscus. 荣 means thrive. So the three lines read, a nobleman should not rush into anything, so that he would wait until the competition of the yin and yang energies is settled. This is the time when deer set their horns, cicadas start to sing, crowdipper grow, hibiscus thrive. This section is quite important. It is the first time in the calendar the code of conduct for noblemen is presented in addition to the usual discussion of the code of conduct for the Son of Heaven. It is quite interesting that the nobleman's code of conduct is presented here. I guess they are the majority who will participate in the ritual and musical performance and ceremonies that is supposedly to be conducted during the summer. It is also quite interesting the justification for this code of conduct for the nobleman is based on health, which in turn was justified on the basis of cosmic rhythm. There's a lot of this kind of discussion in the medical text, but it is interesting. It also appeared in philosophical texts. And as usual, the presentation of the code of conduct for the Son of Heaven and noblemen are followed by warnings about what dire consequences are if the right conducts were not carried out and the right policy were not implemented. I would just read out my translation adapted from Noblock and Regal's translation. I listed the link to their translation down below in the description section. Now, here it is. Implementing policies suitable for winter in the second summer months, hail and snow will damage the crop. Road and path will be blocked. Violent military forces will invade one's state. Implementing policies suitable for spring in these months, the 5 grains will ripe too late. Various pests will occur frequently. People of one state will suffer famine. Implementing policies suitable for autumn, plants and trees will wither. Fruit will ripe prematurely. People will suffer from epidemics. It is worth noting that the policies prescribed in 李氏春秋 were not implemented by Yingzheng, the first emperor, but they were implemented during the early years of the Han Dynasty. This historical coincidence might help to explain why this part of the 李氏春秋 was integrated into the Confucian tradition for the following 2 millennia and become part of the core beliefs in Chinese culture. This belief in the fundamental musical nature of the cosmos is deeply rooted in every aspect of Chinese life. The best expression of the cosmic nature of the world is the poetic tradition of China. The poems are meant to be sung with fixed melodies, not just in official ritual ceremonies, but also in everyday life of the court, the imperial scholar officials, in the occasions of greeting a friend, farewell a friend or loved ones, in weddings, in celebrations of New Year, New Harvest, the Moon Festival, or just any social occasion. Next week, I'm going to present a love poem for gay romance and tell the story of the 兔儿神 or the rabbit god, because 2023 is the year of rabbit. If you're new to my channel, please check out my other videos on classical Chinese poetry, philosophies, or medical literature. If you like the content of these videos, please click the like button and subscribe my channel. I also offer one-to-one online lessons on these subjects. So if you would like to read the original text with me, please contact me. Here is my email address. Otherwise, thanks for viewing my video and I'll see you next time.